Hello and welcome to episode number 3 of the Big Red Machine podcast. I'm your host, Jonah. Today we will be talking about many things. Are the Reds a playoff contender? What should the Reds do at the trade deadline? And many other things. Alright, let's start by talking about the week in review. The Reds went 2-3, and they went 2-3 this past week. Definitely could have been a lot better of a week. But they haven't been able to string together wins or losses all year. These one-run games are really killing us right now. But so on the 8th, 6-8, Senzel led off the game. This was against the Phillies. Senzel led off the game with a leadoff double in the first. And then Votto singled and advanced Nick Senzel to third. And then Suarez grounded into a double play. We did score the run, so it was 1-0 Reds in the first. But then Jay Bruce comes up. He hurts us for the second time in the series. Second day in a row, actually. And he hit a 2-out single in the first to score 2. And at that point, it was 2-1 Phillies. Then Tanner Roark got a 6-4-3 double play to get out of the third inning. But then Real Muto hit a leadoff homer in the fourth to make it 3-1 Phillies. And then Tanner Roark gave up a little roller bloop shot or bloop hit to Bryce Harper. He threw it into the stands to advance Harper to second. So Harper basically hit the ball. Roark picked it up, tried to fire to first to get him out. Instead, fired it clear into the stands, and Harper got to second. And then he threw it, and then threw Gene Segura an 0-2 pitch with 2 outs, and Segura tripled down the line to make it 4-1 Phillies, and that was basically all that happened in the 5th inning. So at that point, it was 4-1 Phillies, and then Roark was done after 5 innings. He pitched 5. Gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, all 4 were earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and he gave up the homer to Jay Bruce. So that was the second start in a row that Roark had kind of struggled a little bit. But we'll see. He's had a couple of bad outings in a row, but he's been really solid all year. Barnhart did ground into a 5-4-3 double play with guys on first and second, nobody out in the 8th. Kind of ended that rally. And then Matt Bowman pitched 2 really good innings. He pitched 2 innings, gave up no hits, gave up a run. It was earned. He walked 2, struck out 1. So good job by him. And then Hughes threw a perfect 8th with a couple of strikeouts. And then Senzel and Votto both had a couple hits in that game. But the story of the game was Nick Pivetta, really. He threw a complete game, 6 hits, 1 run, no walks, 6 strikeouts, 0 home runs. He pitched a complete game against us, just basically dominated us, and we ended up losing that game 4-1. We lost that game 4-1 to begin the week. Then the Reds on the next day on the 9th. Against the Phillies. This was the finale of the 3-game set in Philadelphia. In the top of the second with guys on first and third, Jose Peraza had a sacrifice ground out to score Derek Dietrich 1-0 Reds in the second. 2 runs scored on a 2-run single to first base. Votto lost the ball up in the air. That was in the 3rd inning. It was kind of like a pop-up. Sonny Gray was pitching. It was like a pop-up to Votto. And he lost it in the sun, and 2 runs came around to score. So it's 2-1 Phillies. It was a weird play. And then a sac fly by Gene Segura in the fifth made it 3-1 Phillies. Sonny Gray was done after 5 2/3. He gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned. Now, two of those runs should not have scored, but as we already said, Votto lost the ball up in the sun. So really, that was a really good start by Gray. He did walk 3. He struck out 3, though, and he gave up no home runs. Duke came in to get the final out in the 6th, and then Aaron Nola's final line was 6 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 3 walks, 7 Ks, and no home runs. And then Pedro Alvarez came in and gave up a infield hit to load the bases. The next batter, Votto, hit a 2-run single to tie the game, so he makes up for the bad fielding play by tying the game with a clutch 2-run single to tie the game at 3 in the 7th. And then with 2 outs, Reds take a 4-3 lead. Eugenio Suarez hit a base hit single to left field. And then Michael Lorenzen got the first 2 outs of the 7th while striking out 1. And Amir Garrett came in to get the last one. And then Amir came in, got the first 2 outs in the 8th. And then Iggy came in and got the final out in the 8th, as well as he got the 9th as well. So Iggy basically pitched an inning and a third, gave up a hit, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout, no home runs, and that was his 13th save of the year. And the Reds ended up winning that game 4-3. So yeah, that was a good game. It was a really exciting game. Votto kind of came back and redeemed himself a little bit. The Reds, this is the 11th, so this is the first game in Cleveland. First game of the Ohio Cup. It was Trevor Bauer versus Luis Castillo. It was a really good game. Reds left runners on first and third in the 4th inning, and then a 1-out solo shot by Carlos Santana in the bottom of the 4th, and it was 1-0 Tribe in the bottom of the 4th. Castillo was pitching marvelously. It was an 88-mile-an-hour changeup that just hung right back over the middle of the plate. Senzel did hit a 1-out double in the 5th, though, shortly after to tie the game at 1. And then in the 6th inning, with bases loaded, 1 out, Jose Ramirez strikes out on a changeup, and then Tyler Naquin strikes out on a slider. Looking, no run score. Luis Castillo did a great job of dancing out of trouble there, and Senzel grounded into a 1-2-3 double play with 1 out in the 7th, and bases loaded, and it was still tied at 1. So we had a shot to really score some runs there, and Senzel didn't come up very clutch, but Castillo's final line on the day was 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. That run was earned, obviously, on the home run. 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and, of course, the 1 home run to Carlos Santana. Trevor Bauer's final line was 7 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 earned. He did walk 5 batters in that game, and we only scored 1 run off of him. He did strike out 6, and then David Hernandez threw 2 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts. He's having a really, really good year. Just all around, he's having a great, great, great season. And then Lorenzen also had a shutout. Innings pitched. Shutout inning. Sorry. And then Oscar Mercado, walk-off base hit in the bottom of the 10th off Raisel Iglesias. That was controversial because there was guys on second and third, and Francisco Lindor, the leadoff hitter, was up, and David Bell walked him. Lindor's a switch hitter. Lindor is a lot more of a threat with the bat than Oscar Mercado. And so honestly, I mean, a lot of people were mad, but you can't blame David Bell for that. I would have done the exact same thing. He intentionally walked Francisco Lindor to face the number 2 hitter, Oscar Mercado, but I would have much rather faced Mercado than Francisco Lindor. So yeah, I mean, there's that. And then The next day, the finale of the two-game set, the quick two-gamer in Cleveland, um, Senzel led off the game with a home run. It was 1-0 Reds. And then the next batter, Votto, hit a solo home run to make it 2-0 Reds. First time the Reds have led off a game with two solo homers, I believe, since the early 1900s. So yeah, I mean it's been a long time. But the Indians score in the second to make it 2-1 Reds. It was an RBI ground out, and then in the bottom of the third, 1 out, bases loaded. Disco got a 4-6-3 double play to keep the score at 2-1 Reds. DeSclafani all year has danced out of trouble. I mean, when there's guys on base, he knows how to get them out. 2-out double for Jose Peraza makes it 3-1 Reds in the top of the fifth. And then Suarez hit his first home run since May 24th to make it 4-1 Reds. DeSclafani was done after 5 2/3. He gave up 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned. He did walk 2. He only struck out 2, but he did not give up any home runs, which is the big key for him. Keep the ball in the ballpark, and he will be successful. We talked about that last week on the podcast. But Casali hit a solo shot to make it 5-1 Reds in the top of the 7th. And then a 2 RBI double by Iglesias made it 7-1 Reds. And then a 98 mile per hour fastball from Michael Lorenzen. Carlos Santana for the second day in a row hits it to dead center in the 8th. It is still 7-2 Reds, bottom 8. But the Reds did go on to win that ball game, 7-2. And then the final game that we're going to talk about here for this past week was last night's game. RBI ground out in the bottom of the first. Runners advanced on a pass ball by Casali, and it was 1-0 Rangers very, very quickly. First and third, Steele scored a run for Texas 2-0 in the bottom of the first. So a couple of unusual plays there, but they did score some runs. And then Mahles was taken out after 4 1/3, and he left with 2 guys on. And Peralta comes in and loads the bases, and Rougned Odor hits a grand slam. 2 of the runs charged to Mahles, 6-0 Rangers in the 5th. Peralta has got to go. I'm sorry. He had a good start to the year, but it's just, get Cody Reed up here. Cody Reed has proven that he can pitch in the major leagues, both as a starter and as a reliever. Here of recently, I like Cody Reed. I think he was always a guy that could pitch really good if he threw strikes, and now he started to throw strikes, and he is a tough cookie to hit, tough cookie to whatever. You guys know what I mean. And then Mahles was taken out after 4 1/3 inning pitched. He gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and he did not give up any home runs. Peraza grounded into a 5-4-3 double play to end the 5th, and then a sac fly in the 6th made it 7-0 Rangers. Wandy Peralta's final line was 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, 2 Ks, and 1 home run. And then Matt Bowman came in and pitched 2 perfect innings, other than he gave up 1 base hit, but he did strike out 3. Matt Bowman just continuing to have a really, really nice season. And then Senzel hit a solo homer in the 8th to dead center, really showing off some of that power. 7-1 Rangers still. And then Duke through 2 quality shutout innings. And Puig had 3 hits last night as well. But Duke, it's really nice to see him start to hit a little bit or pitch a little bit better. And believe me, with him and Garrett as our 2 lefties, that could be really, really effective for us. So yeah. Up next, we're going to talk about the team awards. For the week, we're going to give out team awards. MVP goes to Nick Senzel. He batted 388.